Hello and welcome to my channel, I Win to Lose Gaming. Ah yes, the apocalypse, death, doom, demise, desolation, and destruction. That's how it feels when we lose our 50-50s to freaking Edward Elric. Oh, and also the inevitable continuation of the story as destruction makes its way to Penacony in version 2.0. This upcoming version will be the most important update that we've had since the release of our intergalactic trailblazing adventure. So most of you can probably tell that I'm sick now. After my kid was sick last week, well, now it's my turn. Anyway, thanks for sticking with me even when I sound like garbage. We'll get back to garbage in a bit. Now imagine this. We are in an eternal dream because we drank some suspicious yet delicious soda pop, and we're trapped amongst our friends and foes alike. And then a literal group of destruction full of hot waifus, a cello player, and a very sunburnt deer descend upon what would normally be a proclivity of Penacony festivities. In all the meanwhile, our heroic main character, the Trailblazer, will likely be performing a task of the utmost importance: digging through all the new Penacony trash cans. Personally, I can't wait for the goofy yet high-stakes story to continue in Honkai Star Rail version 2.0. And while I'm certainly not a story buff, I believe the upcoming version to be extremely important for how it reflects on Honkai Star Rail in the long run. Penacony is shaping up to be a mind trip, giving me Sumeru storyline vibes as we tackle concepts of dreams, infinity, and creepy sentient animated clocks. We'll also become much more acquainted with a whole new cast of colorful characters, like the erudite Black Swan, the regally welcoming Mr. Sunday, and most importantly, all the shiny new trash cans. Now call me a conspiracy theorist, but similar to how Dan Heng had an evolution condition of being impaled on the Shenzhou Luofu, perhaps March 7th might have her specific evolution condition, like having her and Mr. Sunday in the same place on Sunday, March 7th on Penacony. Anyway, I'm ready for Luminara's Serenator March 7th to descend upon us as a new broken 5-star character. Am I the crazy one thinking that after what happened to Dan Heng on the Luofu, that March 7th going to a planet that has themes of time stopping, like her name implies for her, might evolve as well? And if you're for some reason watching this video well after Penacony's conclusion, then you can let me know that I'm a complete conspiracy theorist and an idiot, or that I'm a time-traveling genius. Anyway, the precedent set for the story of Honkai Star Rail is one thing, but I also wanted to talk about the gameplay aspects. So far, we've seen a few main endgame gameplay modes, with the Forgotten Hall, extra simulated universe stuff, and most recently, Pure Fiction. Forgotten Hall has generally two thick boys to beat up on, and has heavily favored destruction characters and their blast type damage. Pure Fiction, on the other hand, just hurls groups of 5 trash mobs at us over and over, which heavily favors erudition characters. Fortunately, Hoyoverse is quite creative with how they implement endgame content, and they actually care about permanent endgame content in Honkai Star Rail, unlike, well, for Genshin Impact. With the rate things are going, I definitely expect at least one new permanent endgame content gameplay mode in Penacony. And throwing darts at a board at what it could be sounds a bit interesting. While we currently have content that favors blast type damage like the Forgotten Hall, and AoE damage like Pure Fiction, perhaps what we're missing is an even more heavily single target damage focused gameplay mode, where the objective is to do as much damage as possible against a punching bag style enemy before time runs out, or before the enemy ends up killing you. Anyway, this type of speculation is honestly completely pointless, but it is mildly interesting to speculate on. Also, we'll probably get more endgame simulated universes that unlock new paths that we can cheese with the Remembrance Path. Although I'm not gonna lie, I'm a bit tired of grinding these 30 to 50 minute runs 10 to 20 times for each of these gameplay modes only to get one shot by the final boss, thus wasting the entire run. Personally, I'm hoping for some less time intensive ways to experience the simulated universe in Penacony and less Remembrance freeze cheese. But let me know how you feel about the amount of time needed for Swarm Disaster and the Golden Gears gameplay modes. As for the characters, well, Hoyoverse just dumped a ton of new upcoming characters onto us. Fortunately, Honkai Star Rail has plenty of character archetypes, playstyles, and gameplay mechanics to where they'll have no shortage of character gameplay styles. At the moment, we're short on 5-star harmony and preservation characters because since the release of this game, we've been bombarded by 5-star DPS characters. These will be indicative of the long-term health of the game more so than any of the the aforementioned variables. Story? People are often mashing left click to rush through it. Endgame gameplay modes? Well, that's for sweaties like you and I. But character revenue? This is what reflects how invested the casual Andes are, as well as Hoyoverses, and will thus determine the long-term viability. For example, Genshin Impact had a massive explosion of player interest and spending money with the release of the Raiden Shogun, eclipsing even its release date Venti revenues. Admittingly though, that was Genshin Impact's version 2.1, so we can expect a lull period perhaps before Honkai Star Rail releases its blockbuster character for version 2.0. Anyway, Honkai Star Rail will want a similar breakthrough shortly after 2.0's release, or hey, maybe even with 2.0's release. It's frankly really hard to tell. Personally, with a free doctor ratio bringing back many players for version 1.6, I think it's very possible for Honkai Star Rail to achieve this with the release of a character like, for example, I don't know, Raiden Mei's interdimensional cousin, or Kiana Kazlana's intergalactic 73rd clone or something. I'm personally optimistic about Honkai Star Rail's future, and Ron Mei's sales were actually surprisingly high to me, but we'll have to see what kind of player hype 2.0 can generate. So yeah, how do you feel about Honkai Star Rail's future and soon-to-come release of the Soda Pop Guzzling Society of Penacony? I'm personally optimistic, and I do think its inevitably depressing storyline will be a lot of fun to experience. Although I am starting to find content like Swarm Disaster and Golden Gears to be quite a slog to get through, and I generally play these to fall asleep at night, as it's just collecting the right blessings to obliterate the final boss. As for new characters, I'm excited to see what kind of revenues a major character release can break. Anyway, this is all literally just some guy who's sick right now on the internet's opinion on the upcoming version 2.0 for Honkai Star Rail. As always, I appreciate every single one of you. This is I Want to Lose, signing out.